Okay, so this auction is for several components. It's basically an entire setup that can be used for dance recitals, seminars, home studio, web TV show production type thing. So let me just describe you everything that's included. So the main thing is the TriCaster Studio. I think it's a TC350 model. It has 6 inputs, and you can do anything from S-video to component to composite. So it's got different options. Got XLR inputs for sound. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of different features. I'm not going to go over all of them because I don't really use everything. I use it mainly as a switcher and recorder. So you can look up the actual TriCaster Studio model if you want to get more information on it. Now I'm including 3 cameras. There are 2 Sony Z1Us and 1 Sony FX1. All 3 of them work with the component, which is the best quality feed coming out of them. They've been used for a while, but basically work perfectly fine with this setup. The tape decks in these cameras do not work, so I just want to make sure you understand that these cameras are basically great for part of this live switching setup, but they will not work as a single camera unless you send it in. Last time I had this quoted to fix this was about $375 for each tape deck to make it work again for tapes, but those are kind of obsolete anyways these days. So I just want to make sure you understand this is great for its purpose, but it's not 3 cameras that you can use with tapes. But they work perfect. They're great lenses. I mean, Sony cameras I think are the best, and they've definitely served me well. Let's see, I'm also going to include 2 remote control pan and tilt heads. So you can actually set up the 3 camera shoot and 1 person can operate all this thing. I got 2 Lang remote controllers. One is right here, the other one is right here. There is about 20-foot extension cable for one of these heads, and I will also put in a 100-foot component cable and a 100-foot Lang extension cord, so you can actually set up one of these cameras if you are like at a seminar or a dance recital setting. You can put one camera up to 100 feet away from you to get like audience angle or creative angle for the side of the stage and stuff like that. So that's all included. There is also a tape deck that's it's a high definition ready. This TriCaster is not high def, so it's standard definition signal. But I use this tape deck as a backup recording because things can happen. You can lose a power or whatever, and if that if this TriCaster crashes, you're gonna lose the last session that you recorded. But with this tape deck, you can load a 4.5-hour long tape, one of the DV cam tapes, and actually run just a backup. And if typically when everything works out fine, I just run over the tape again, because you can run several times over it, especially when it's just a backup. So I'm not like buying new tapes every time, but it saved me a couple times when we had some issues with power in the hotels and different places. So it's definitely an excellent piece of equipment, and since it's part of the setup, I'm going to include it as well. And I like to usually have 2 backups, so I'm also including this DVD recorder, so you can run basically the signal from TriCaster to both the DVD recorder and the tape. So you really have 2 backups just in case something happens. But I mean, ask me how I know. I mean, things did happen in the live production before, and I cannot imagine the conversation with my client letting him know that I lost some of the footage. So I rather have all this, and this works well as a closed system. So that's why I'm including everything, so you have everything from start to finish. Now the TriCaster, there's a brand new keyboard that I just got because the original that came with it was a piece of junk and broke right away. So you have a nice little keyboard. If you can see it on this video, there's basically a way to switch between the 6 inputs by just pressing the numbers on the actual keyboard or the enter button. So you can just switch between different outputs. But there's a huge amount of features on this TriCaster. Again, just read up on it if you're interested in it. But you have transitions, you have titles, you can live stream with it. So if you want to set it up as a home studio for just web TV shows, perfect for that. You can record to a hard drive, you can record the actual live stream as well. So huge amount of features. You got audio input. I typically use Mackie mixer and just input the auxiliary out from the mixer to the number 1 input over here, and then run the out from here to a splitter that will split this signal to 4 different ways, and I can then run the signal to all my recording devices. So depending what mixer you're going to be using, you want to look into that. But very easy workflow. Again, it's great. You can actually see visually how the signal is. If it's too hot, and stuff, you got visual kind of a checkpoint on the TriCaster itself, and you can adjust it too, so you can actually bring it up and down right in the TriCaster instead of doing it on the board. But the board obviously will probably be the better option. Now the TriCaster also has green screen. You can set it up in front of a green screen, and even with the component cables, even though it's not high definition, it will still do a really great key removal. So there's no green stuff, halo around you, none of that stuff. So even for like a web TV show type studio setup with green screen behind you, this system works really well with the component cables. If you use S-video or composite, it may not work as well, but the component is perfect. So again, I got 3 cameras, 2 Z1Us, 1 FX1. They all work well. They got power adapters. You have 2 remote best score remote control heads with 2 LAN controllers, 2 of the pan and tilt controllers, and 20-foot extension on one camera and 100-foot extension on the other camera. So you can control it all. You have your TriCaster, your Sony. I believe the model is, let's see if I can read it here. I think it's M25U if I'm not mistaken, but I can't see it here. And then you have one of the Sony DVD recorders. I will also include cases. So you have your camera bag one. There's 2 of these camera bags, and then there's one like a backpack style camera bag that I will make sure the cameras are protected, and I'll throw it in. I'm not including the monitor because it would be probably more expensive to ship than to buy a new one. So the monitor is not included in this, just want to make that clear. But it will work with any monitor you can pick up for $100 somewhere at Sam's Club, whatever, with the VGA input. It will work fine with that. So anyways, hit me up with any questions if you have any, and I'll be happy to answer it all. Thanks. Happy bidding.